The choice of the capsule. For several long days, Vorlaxion searched for a ghost. Every district of the capital was combed, patrols swept through the surrounding wilderness, records were examined, witnesses questioned, and every conceivable lead pursued. Yet every trail ended the same way, with silence. Veyron had vanished. The man responsible for unspeakable experiments had disappeared without leaving so much as a temporal footprint. With every passing day, the unease throughout the city only deepened. His absence became more terrifying than his presence had ever been. Deep beneath the citadel, inside the ancient TARDIS workshop, those entrusted with Vorlaxion's future assembled one final time. They reached a simple conclusion. If they could not find Veyron, they would force him to find them. The answer lay within a strange device recovered from his laboratory, a biodata resonance device, built to locate living beings through the unique signature encoded within every Gallifreyan soul. It was ingenious, dangerous, and imperfect. Lord Conundrum believed it could be transformed. Rather than tracking a biodata signature, it could become a beacon, a lure, one capable of reaching across space and time itself. The proposal carried obvious risks. Activating such technology could alert Veyron immediately. Worse still, nobody truly understood the connection he now shared with the battered old Type 40 capsule resting quietly in the center of the workshop. Lady Rowan understood that connection better than most. She warned that the capsule's biodata acted almost like a lighthouse to Veyron's fractured mind. Wherever she went, he could sense her. Yet, perhaps that weakness could become their greatest advantage. She held up a data slug. Should Veyron arrive, every transmitter connected to the Matrix would broadcast the capsule's biodata simultaneously. Instead of one signal guiding him, he would hear millions. Every relay, every communication tower, every circuit. One overwhelming psychic chorus flooding his senses from every direction. It was a desperate plan, but desperate plans were often the only kind worth attempting. Not everyone agreed on what should happen afterward. The Castellan believed Veyron had surrendered his humanity the moment he began experimenting on innocent lives, and eventually upon himself. Others wondered whether the brilliant engineer had simply become another victim of his own obsession. The debate continued. Justice, mercy, duty, vengeance? Each had its voice. Lady Roxy Chronotis finally brought the room back to its purpose. No matter what Veyron had become, they could not afford reckless violence. Nobody understood the bond between him and the capsule. Destroying one might destroy the other. Capture first, answers later. Ancient Gallifreyan machinery was dismantled and rebuilt piece by piece. Interfaces centuries older than most civilizations were persuaded to cooperate once more. Failure followed failure as calculations refused to align and circuitry stubbornly resisted every attempt to rewrite it. The machine seemed almost determined not to work, until, without fanfare, it did. The quiet hum echoed through the chamber. The device had found its target. Moments later, from somewhere within the capsule came a frightened wheeze, a sound unlike the familiar comforting rhythm every Time Lord associated with a healthy TARDIS. It was fearful, painful, as though she knew exactly what was coming. Then the cloister bells began to ring, slow, deep. Every Time Lord knew those bells. They rang only when history itself stood upon the edge of catastrophe. The transporter activated and a figure slowly materialized within the darkness. Lord Veyron, changed almost beyond recognition, his features carried the unmistakable signs of years spent rewriting his own biology. His eyes were hollow, his movements unnaturally precise. Whatever brilliant scientist had once existed had long since been consumed by obsession. He barely acknowledged the people surrounding him. His gaze settled immediately upon the capsule. At last, he had found her. The confrontation began not with violence but with words. Every attempt was made to reach the man he had once been. Reason, compassion, logic, even hope. Each argument met with the same immovable conviction. Veyron believed the capsule belonged to him, not as a pilot and ship, not as partners, as one being. He had convinced himself that separation itself was the tragedy. Everything he had done, the experiments, the suffering, the countless ethical boundaries crossed, had been in pursuit of restoring what he imagined had been stolen from him. Lady Rowan saw the flaw immediately. No partnership could ever exist without consent. The capsule had made her wishes painfully clear. She feared him. She rejected him. Yet, Veyron no longer recognized the difference between love and possession. Then another revelation emerged. Every attempt to restrain him had failed for a reason. Lord Darkfire, determined with scans, hidden beneath his altered biodata, was a temporal phase shield. His body existed fractionally out of sync with reality itself. Weapons would pass harmlessly through him, and physical restraint was impossible. He had become untouchable, or so he believed. Then something unexpected caught his attention. His eyes shifted away from the capsule toward Lady Roxy. Something had changed. The bond he had spent years trying to forge already existed, but not with him. The capsule had chosen someone else. Rage replaced certainty. Without warning, Veyron lashed out. Temporal energy surged from his hand, and the blast struck Lady Roxy before anyone could react. She collapsed instantly. For one terrible heartbeat, everything stopped. Then chaos consumed the workshop. Lord President Chronotis rushed to his wife's side. Rain cried out in horror. Lady Rowan tossed the data slug toward Lord Conundrum. Remember what I suggested? Lord Conundrum caught it and looked between her and Lord President Chronotis, understanding that whatever came next mattered. Lord Conundrum ran to the terminal, inserting the slug as instructed. Lord Serpentine moved to assist, activating unfamiliar controls on his time ring. Lord Malthius, who had quietly entered the room moments earlier, stepped forward after seeing the danger unfold. The room shifted. As every transmitter hooked into the Matrix in the entire city, at top volume, affected Veyron, the capsule took advantage. Veyron staggered, his concentration shattered beneath the overwhelming psychic assault. His carefully engineered phase shield flickered. For the first time, he was vulnerable. And the capsule acted, not out of hatred, not out of revenge, but out of choice. For years, she had endured captivity, fear, violation. Now at last, she reclaimed what had always belonged to him. His regeneration energy, his Gallifreyan biology, his remaining life. She drew it all away. The room watched in stunned silence as the impossible unfolded. Rather than allowing that stolen life to vanish, she gave it freely. Golden regeneration energy burst around Lady Roxy. No human had ever been meant to experience such a transformation, yet there it was. The familiar golden light of Gallifrey danced around her, reshaping every cell, every strand of DNA, every heartbeat. When the light finally faded, she stood once more, different, alive. Two hearts now beat within her chest, and a third strand of DNA had woven itself into her biology. The impossible had become reality. Across the workshop, Veyron collapsed. His obsession, his ambition, his endless pursuit ended in silence. The battle was over. Slowly, almost uncertainly, Lady Roxy approached the capsule. She rested one hand against the capsule, soft words of thank you uttering from her lips. The response came immediately. The exterior lights glowed warmly once more. The engines settled into the familiar, peaceful rhythm they had not known in years. Gone was the frightened wheeze. Gone was the tension. Gone was the fear. The capsule had finally chosen, not the man who sought to possess her, but the woman who had simply offered kindness. In that quiet moment, everyone present understood what had truly happened. Veyron's body was secured by Lord Darkfire, his research preserved under the strictest oversight so that knowledge born from darkness might one day prevent another tragedy. History itself would be protected. Time would be locked around these events to ensure they could never be rewritten. Yet, none of those decisions felt as important as the sight before them. The newly regenerated Lady Roxy Chronotis stood beside an ancient Type 40 capsule. One beginning a new life, the other beginning a new journey. Together, after years of fear, after years of captivity, she had finally found someone worth traveling with.